I want to start off this moment with two things. First, I want to let y'all look at me, and you're looking at the host of the Lady Nakia Wright show. I'm going to have my own radio show starting every Thursday in April at 8 o'clock p.m.
Chill music.
You want me every Thursday. I'll be every Thursday, but I'll be pulling on y'all for your wisdom and your strength to join me at the table. Come on now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a happy Thursday over here at WLVS. Welcome to the Lady Nakia Wright Show. Happy Thursday. I am so excited to be with you. Yes. Thank you again for joining us each and every week. The 8 o'clock hour on Thursdays have become my favorite hour of the day. I am extremely excited about it. If you're joining us via WLVS online, thank you so very much for joining us each and every week. If you're joining us via social media, thank you. Please share this with your listening audience. Today's show is going to be fire. I'm excited about it because it's something that I'm passionate about. Every first Thursday of the month is Our Marriage Matters segment. And when I tell you today we've come with the fire, I promise you so very much we've come with the fire. Y'all not ready for this. I want to just start out again with a huge thank you. Listen Vision Live, you've been extremely faithful each and every week. I am grateful to have been introduced to you, and I am enjoying the journey that we're on. Our social media audience, you have been extremely faithful. Not only do you join us each and every week, you invite others to join us as well. And there are not enough words in the human vocabulary to tell you how very thankful I am to you. And my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, I give him all honor, all glory, and all the praise. If it had not been for him seeing the value and worth in me, I don't know where I would be. So I'm extremely grateful to my Lord and Savior, and I'm honored. I am forever filled with praise that he's given me such a gift in the human form of my husband, Donald Wright. Without his yes, this platform would not even be here. So I am extremely grateful for the value that he's seen in me and thought that I can add worth to somebody else's life. So baby, thank you so very much. I know that you're looking. I'm excited about it. Next week, you're going to be right here, though. Don't get too comfortable on that couch. This is a better look for you on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. And behind the scenes, we have, I'm just filled with gratitude today. So just give me 60 more seconds just to shout out a huge thank you for the ladies that are behind the scenes. And that's Laura and Charmaine. They are here. You don't see them every week, but they have committed their lives to my yes. I'm grateful for them. I don't know where I would be without them. So I love to give them their flowers while they are alive. They could have chosen to be anywhere else, but the fact that they are here, always making me look good and sound great, I am truly honored to have them in my corner. And I'm grateful that God saw that we walked the earth at the same time. So together we have chosen to make an impact, and I am grateful for them. I'll say to any of you that are listening, the people in your lives, don't take for granted that they know what you mean to them or they mean to you. Make sure that you tell them daily, thank you. Because thank yous go a long way. And again, give them their flowers while they are alive. It does nothing for you to cry really hard for me when I can't see your tears. I want to hear your kind words and see your good deeds while we are alive, while I can enjoy and appreciate them. You know, there used to be a saying where it was that you're here today and gone tomorrow. No, you here today and gone today. So make sure that you let the people in your lives, in your life, know how much they mean to you, how how much value they bring to your life. And for any reason, if you've had a falling out with someone that you love so very much over something so minute, if I'm sorry or I forgive you or it wasn't that serious, it's all it takes to mend that relationship. Go the extra mile and mend the relationship. Don't miss valuable moments in life because of a I'm sorry or I forgive you or a misunderstanding. Life is too short, and there's too many valuable moments that a union can make together if we just come together and have peace and walk in unity. So those are my little short segments today, my words of wisdom to give, to just value those who are around you. We're going to take a quick 60-second break. And when I return, my co-host for today, Micha Woods, and the Reimagined Life segment, the very first one on the Lady Nakia Wright show. Our very first segment is the one and only Terry Long, who's a part of Spotlight over the City, who has a show right before ours. Their show is hilarious. You have to catch it. It is at 7 o'clock. Just block your calendars off from 7 to 9. Spotlight over the City first, and then the Lady Nakia Wright show. Let me tell you something. Your Thursdays are going to be full of fire. I'm excited about these two ladies. Share this with your listening audience. Text your friends. Tell them Our Marriage Matters segment is on, and we about to bring it. So 60 seconds, restroom break, powder your nose, get your snack, and let's come right back. Yes. I want to start off this moment with two things. First, I want to let y'all look at me, and you're looking at the host of the Lady Nakia Wright show. I'm going to have my own radio show starting every Thursday in April at 8 o'clock p.m.
Chill music.
Don't the panel look good? Oh, we look good sitting up here, ladies.
Yes.
I'm excited about it. Welcome back to the Lady Nakia Wright Show, A Life Reimagined. Every first Thursday, we do a segment called My Marriage Matters. The one and only, the infamous Micha Woods has joined me. This will be her second Thursday joining me. Yes. And I am grateful for her, yes. This week, we did something different. I love engagement. So this week, we sent out some questions on our social media audience. And thank you all for responding. We're going to address those questions very shortly. We're going to talk about your responses. They were good. And listen, I feel like we got like the best following on social media because they were all positive. I was like, yes, we got some dynamic people following us. But before we get started on our Marriage Matters segment, I wanted to do a segment called A Life Reimagined. And that is like myself, there are people on the earth that is living a life that they never thought that they would. And there's a lot of gratitude to come from a life that you don't think that you deserve. And today, right before me, I have one of my very good friends, Terry Long, with me. Yes.
Hi, y'all.
And as I said before, she is the host, the co-host of Spotlight Over the City with her dynamic husband, Stan Long. And they're making some major moves here in the DMV area. They are every event. They are everywhere doing the thing that her husband spoke over their union and said that they would do.
Yes, he did.
So there is something to be connected to powerful covenant.
Yes.
Tonight, I asked her to join us because many of us are living in our life after. And as I mentioned before, Terry is very happily married to her husband, Stan Long.
Yes,
and I'm grateful that this ringer right here. You
What's
hit
that
this
for?
when we say something really good.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say that. Rewind.
I thought that was for if I had messed up. And
No. This is no.
I'm like, Nakia got the bell for me.
Blinking you out. No, this is when I say something really good. So I'm going to rewind.
All right.
So Terry is very happily married to her husband, Stan Long.
Yes.
And I asked asked her here because she's living a life reimagined. She's living life after divorce. And for those of you that are following us on our social media audience, I wanted to hear from someone who had the courage to love again after life disappointed them. So, Terry, what would you offer a heart that has experienced divorce and is looking for the courage to love again?
Listen, I will not start by saying that that's an easy thing to do, because it's definitely not an easy thing to do. But I am a true fan of love. I believe in love to the end. You hear me? And so, unfortunately, things happen in life where, you make some wrong decisions. And I am not above that. I made some, bad decisions in my life as well. And there's life after that, though, and I'm living proof of it. I used to be embarrassed about it. I'm no longer embarrassed about it. The more I have grown as a woman, and I have this amazing husband who has helped me grow spiritually, I'm now am able to, share with others the joy of life after something painful like a divorce. Because again, when you believe in love like me, like I've been in love since 4th grade, like
Yes.
like I just wanted to be in love. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so I just never wanted to give up on that. And so I would encourage those who have gone through such something as painful as a divorce to never give up on love. But what I did have to do was take a step back for myself and say, God, work this out. If you want me in another marriage, then guide me that way. Send him to me and let you do that for me. I didn't want to pick it anymore because I didn't do a great job. And so that's the one thing I said to myself with this time around with this great man, is that I wasn't going to pick the person. I wasn't going to find someone who was cute or who was this or that. I was just going to wait until God sent that person to me.
That's very good.
Yeah.
My husband says something that's so key. He says life is a thing that happens in between our plans. And oftentimes our plans.
Yes, Bishop.
Yes, oftentimes our plans look nothing like the plans that God has designed for our life.
not.
And quite often, many of us, we have aborted God's plan and went after the emotional highs of our own plans.
Yes.
And I am grateful that even in the midst of taking a detour in life, you found a way to come right back to the throne of God, give him full control over your entire life, and then allow him to bless you. Because covenants, and this is what we'll talk about, as I see you and Stan walk out your lives each day, marriages require game plans.
Yes.
And oftentimes we go into a marriage with emotional high and we don't map out a game plan of what our union is supposed to bring about. There's some things that you do when you are single, but there's other things that when you're connected to greatness, that something is to be birthed from it.
Yes.
And
yes.
I see the manifestations of the things that you and Team Long have birthed. And I'm excited about it.
Yes, ma'am. I am excited about it as well. Like, I'm just filled with gratitude, actually. I even on the days where he's not like, like I'm like, ugh. Even I have those days. I do.
Life is not perfect.
Life is not perfect.
Life is not perfect.
But let me tell you something. Even in those days, I'm grateful. I am so grateful just because I have someone who was sent by God and who is just, he is just amazing, y'all. I mean, he is amazing.
I love it.
And so when you hold out for something that that was ordained by God, I'm telling you, it is an amazing thing. It is beautiful.
Amen.
Yeah. So I had to stop picking for myself.
Listen,
that's
where we mess up.
That's where we mess up. I had to stop doing things and trying to guide it myself, because that's not the right way to do it. And now that I've done it the right way, I got the right one. And again, like Nakia said, it's not perfect, but it is way more perfect than it is not. I will say that.
Yes, look.
Yeah.
But it's for you.
It's perfectly.
It's perfect
Yes,
for you.
it's perfect for me.
Yeah, that's what I say.
Yeah.
It's not, my marriage isn't perfect, but it's perfect,
Perfect for
me.
you.
Because I know I'm a lot. I know I'm a lot. And there's not a lot of people out there that are willing to take on the project that's known as Micha. And so I found my person, and that's what I say when people ask me, about my marriage and how long we've been married and how do you guys do it? I'm like, he's just my person.
He's your
And
person.
some things you can't explain. It just makes sense to us.
Right.
It might not make sense to you when
And
you're
it's
on the
not
outside
supposed to make
trying to
sense
figure it
to
out, but
anybody
it makes
but
sense
you.
to us.
Yes.
And as we've discussed before, that's just how we live our life and operate our marriage. There's just two people in it.
That's
so it
it.
only matters for two people, but he's my
I love
person.
that.
So it
I
seems
love
that
that,
you
Micha.
found your person.
Yes.
And
I have
everybody
found my
has a
person.
You
Yeah,
found your
everybody
person.
has a
My
person. You just got to
Everybody.
weed through
Yes.
the trenches, to make that magic happen.
Yes,
So,
I found my person.
Recovery is possible. Recovery is necessary because the Bible says that man is not supposed to be alone. And if you allow one heartbreak to make you think otherwise, you may be missing out on the
Yes.
greatness that life has for you.
I-
So I am honored. Yes. I am honored to sit next to you. You know that you and I have known each other for a very long time.
Yes.
And my husband and I were actually privileged enough to speak with you and Stan prior to marriage.
Yes, they did.
And to see what marriage has blossomed into for Team Long has been something to celebrate. So it gives me great honor to present to you for the very first time, the very first
She
award
always
going
got tricks
out
up her
is-
sleeve.
we're presenting the Life Reimagined Award to you on the Lady Nakia Wright Show. You're living a revived, redefined, and a reimagined life, and it's truly one to be celebrated.
Thank you so much. Oh.
I believe in new beginnings, and you all have truly created a new beginning for both of your lives. So
Yes,
we
yes,
salute
yes.
you.
Thank you
I
so
thank you for
much. I
joining
love you
us.
so much. I appreciate you having me. Love all of you all who love. If you love Lady Nakia Wright, then I love you too. If you do not love Lady Nakia Wright, I'm gonna get you. How can you not love her? So thank you so much.
No, you're
And thank you, Micha. I
Yes.
found my person.
You found your person.
Yes.
And thank you for having the courage to tell your story. Like many people live in the shame of their disappointments, and they don't realize that they are answers for somebody else's success. And you openly share your story now that the shame is gone,
Yep.
and you've learned how to get the power out of the pain, and you live in the greatest days that you could have ever imagined.
That I could have ever imagined. I just want him to give me a baby, and then that's going to top it off.
With that being said, we're going to take a brief break, and after that, our Marriage Matters segment will go forward.
Yes.
Come right back. Thank you. You won't be every Thursday. I'll be every Thursday, but I'll be pulling on y'all for your wisdom and your strength to join me at the table of two. Come on now. I want to start off this moment with two things. First, I want to let y'all look at me. Yes. If you're just joining us, thank you so very much, and welcome to the Lady Nakia Wright Show. If you're joining us via Listen Vision Live, thank you so very much. If you're joining us via our social media audience, thank you so very much. I do want to give a special shout out to my Deb. My Deb, if you're looking, please know that we are praying for you, that we miss you, and we love you so very much. If you missed it, you just missed for our very first time a segment called A Life Reimagined, where Terry Long shared with us just a tidbit of life after divorce, how she never gave up on love, and as a result of that, God blessed her with the man of her dreams, and she's living out some of the greatest days of her life. I'm honored that she shared her story, and I do advise you, if you didn't see it, if you go to www.awomansvoicematters.net on tomorrow, you'll see the whole show. And I believe that there's some words that happened in this moment that will bless your life. Now, without further ado, my co-host and I are ready. Oh, we lit it up for the past 24 hours on social media, asking vital questions as it pertains to covenant. One thing that many people, I mentioned it very briefly before, many people go into covenant without goals, without expectations, without a game plan. And once you get into covenant and the emotional high of it is gone, you're looking like is this what marriage is
Yeah.
supposed to be about? And you don't attach purpose to the assignment of covenant. And that is so very necessary. And oftentimes, purpose cannot even be attached because we lack the little fundamentals that it takes to make marriage a success. We forget that when you are married, the Bible says a man that finds a wife, and many people forget what a wife is. We read Proverbs 31 and say, who can find a virtuous woman? But we don't apply the practicality to the word virtuous. What does that mean? Are we a woman that gets up early in the morning and prepare her house so that our house is set in order? Are we women that will go out and create products to sell to bring money and value into our home? Do the people in the community look up to us and respect us? Because that's some of the characteristics of a virtuous woman. We have to study that scripture a lot harder. There's a lot to it that we miss. And game plans are necessary in covenant, right?
I agree.
Yes.
Except for I can't get up in the morning because I'm not a morning person. But I have all the other bases covered.
Well, listen, everybody is not the same. Everybody's built makeup of marriage does not look the same.
Yeah.
And you know what works for your house and what doesn't work for your house. And if your husband is happy and he loves it, I love it too.
Absolutely.
But listen, there's one thing that I've learned, even in love, oftentimes, don't ever stop striving to be better. Listen, every year I give myself a goal of what I can do better this year that I didn't do next year. And it's necessary to keep your marriage alive, fresh, vibrant. You don't want to get bored with your husband, with your spouse.
Yeah, it's important to make sure that we're growing our marriage because we're growing as individuals.
Yes.
We're not the same people that we were when we got married at 25. I'm not the same woman that I was at 35.
Absolutely.
So now at 45, it's definitely important to make sure that the relationship is evolving because we both are as individuals.
You're newlyweds all over again.
We are.
Yes. And I'm not going to share her story, but we'll talk about it over the next couple of weeks. But she's actually renewing her vows soon.
We are in less than 30 days.
Yes.
So we will be newlyweds again.
I know. I'm excited about
Yeah.
it. So, Micha, come on. We've sent out in our social media audience, we shared some questions that we thought that were extremely good. And we wanted to hear from our viewers to see how they responded. So, Micha, share with us a question that you asked your audience.
Well, I asked quite a few.
Yes.
And got some interesting answers. But we also put it out there for some of our viewers to send questions to us that they wanted to get feedback from. And the hot topic was if you think it's disrespectful to not wear your wedding ring.
Oh, well, that's hilarious. And it depends, again, on your relationship. For me,
I think so.
My husband and I just had this conversation because he was going to run out to the store. And I don't remember what it was. And his wedding ring was over there on the kitchen counter. And he was like, all right, babe, I'll be right back. I was like, oh, you about to leave? And he was like, yeah, babe, I'll be right back. I was like, oh, you about to leave out the house right now? And he was like, yeah, I'm about to go. I was like, oh, you got everything that you need? He was like, yeah. And then it dawned on him he didn't have his ring on. And for me, the wearing of the ring is very important to me because it means that I am in love with my wife. I am a man that is happily married. And this is my outward example of the person that I've given my life to.
Yeah. I think how you started off with your reply, that it just depends on the relationship and the situation. When I waited to see what everyone else had to say before I gave my opinion, because I don't want what I feel or what I think to sway the way that anyone else thinks. I do have my ring on today, but oftentimes I don't. A lot of times my husband doesn't wear his. And I don't know if it's just after 20 years, it's like, I know I'm very comfortable in my relationship, so I know, and everybody knows that we're married, so it's not that my ring is a second thought, but I don't look at it the way that I did in the beginning, where it's like everywhere I go, I have to wear it. Even if I don't wear the engagement ring, I'm wearing the band so that people know that, I'm a proud wife. And I think that as we grew in our marriage and our businesses, added kids, we're juggling friendships and relationships, that it became more important for me to make sure that my behavior represented him. That when people saw me, that they knew that I am Mrs. Woods. And for him, he doesn't wear his ring because of the type of work that he does. But in the beginning, that was very important to me, and it bothered me. And here we are 20 years down the road, and I'm just now going, you know what, I'm going to get you a silicone ring. It feels like absolutely nothing. He tried it on. He's like, this is perfect. Why didn't we think of this, 10, 15 years ago when I was on his back about, where's your ring? Where you going? Oh, when you go out, those girls need to know. And he's like, everybody knows that I married who I'm married to. But I think that as the relationship grows, you start moving around the pieces like a chessboard. Yes. And this was very important to me when we were fresh. And now this is very important to me that because you work so much, that you're available on Sundays. Don't answer the work phone. Don't do anything that's family day. So that's what, takes precedence for me now.
And it's very important that you realize in your marriage, it is you create what works for you.
Yeah.
What works for me may not work for you. And you cannot frame your life based off of what somebody else is doing. You have to have constant communication of what you and your husband are comfortable with. That's one of the key things in relationships. In any marriage, communication is key. Oftentimes, I find myself over-communicating just to make sure that the communication stays alive and it stays fresh. Now, for me, my husband is a pastor, and he's extremely long-winded. So I don't think communication is ever going to be a problem in our marriage. But for those of you who are married, make sure that your girlfriends or your family members don't know more about your life than your husband does. Always make sure that you keep him first on the communication chain. And listen, this is what creates longevity to unions.
I think so. Communication is huge. My husband is not a big communicator. But
he communicates in his own way,
he
right?
speaks to me. I understand his language. And it's one of those things when we're out, I have to make sure that I'm not stepping on his toes and speaking for him. But it's just that I know what he's saying, even when he's not saying it. But he does speak to me, but he's not a big communicator. But I also think that communication, and as long as you're operating with integrity.
Absolutely.
Integrity and staying true to what your core values are in your marriage. Operating with integrity is very big for me.
Absolutely.
In the relationship, in the workplace, and friendships, I hold that very high. But the communication piece
is major.
That's my jam.
Yes. One of the other hot topics that we had was, how do you resolve conflict? That question has caused many couples to lead to divorce, because oftentimes you don't have the tools and the essentials that you need to resolve conflict. One thing that I learned from sitting in marriage counseling sessions as my husband is ministering to the couples, oftentimes you've learned that in conflict, people don't listen. Oftentimes they are quiet while the other person is talking. And then when the other person stops talking, then they begin to talk. So one thing that you have to do in conflict is to make sure that you are listening to the heart of the person that you're in conflict with. Oftentimes we're so busy trying to prove our point that we don't hear what another heart is saying to us. So for me, one thing that is extremely vital is the listening portion of conflicts. And if you are a type of person where when you get upset, you are a screamer, nothing can ever get resolved in elevated tones. So if you are a screamer, I would say calm down first. Don't ever have a conversation trying to resolve conflict at the height of your emotion, because your emotion will take priority over the situation and there won't be any resolve. So again, if you are in conflict, the advice that I would offer is to become a better listener. Be sure that you listen to the heart of the person that is speaking. You may not always agree with them, but try to make a point to understand what it is that they're saying. It's okay to agree to disagree, but listening is key. And also, for those who are screamers and yellers at the height of the emotion, don't have the conversation, because yellers aren't really looking for resolve. They're looking to be heard.
Yeah, we are.
You're yelling. Mika,
I used to be.
that
I'm
voice.
grown.
What does that voice sound like when you are yelling?
We are, but I'm just being transparent.
And that's what says
And
authenticity.
Yeah,
says.
I'm just being transparent. I do yell because, as I mentioned, my husband isn't combative. So if I am uptight or aggravated about something and I voice my opinion or I share what I'm feeling, he's just like, he's very chill and laid back. So that takes me up another notch. So I'm like, well, maybe he didn't hear me. So here we go. You know? And what I've learned is the message gets lost in the mess.
Yes.
So
that's
he's
very
now like, you know what? Come back when you bring that down, because I'm not checking for you right now and what you're saying. And so I have grown to the point where I don't do that because I've kind of learned to read him. But yeah, before
listen,
I'm off the hook.
I used to be a yeller too, and my husband is the complete opposite.
So
he
is
will
mine,
he
yeah.
will not argue. Like, we have been together. We'll be celebrating 6 years in September, and I can count on yes. And I can count on one hand how many arguments we've actually
elevated,
had.
yeah.
If my husband elevates his voice, I know at that moment that he lost something in his heart that he'll never get back. Because for men that are calm, to take them to the level that they raise their voice,
Yeah.
something really
My
just
husband,
happened.
one time in 20 years, and I can tell you without a doubt that one time I know it was me. Like, it was me. I was pushing all the buttons, like unzip the jacket, the buttons under the buttons. Like, I know that it was me. You know, but I guess that's where it comes into play for us that have that type of personality to recognize where we're weak and work on that in order to
Absolutely.
make sure that we're strengthening the relationship, not just the marriage, but the friendship that we have, because that's
more
what's very
important than the
important to me,
marriage.
that he is my friend and that he respects me and that he looks at me and says, I actually like the person that I chose. So that was important for me to get to understand myself, what my triggers were, and how to deal with it, because I was very defensive, not necessarily argumentative, but defensive. So if he did speak up and say, I'd like to work on this, or I'd like to see you do this differently, you know, I'm like the neck rolling, finger popping, like, what? Like, I'm perfect. Not that I think that I'm perfect, but it's like, you tell me that when we was all good, I was perfect for you, and now you want me to change. But it took a lot of self-examination
Absolutely.
to realize that, girl, no.
And marriage requires growth and maturity.
Yes.
You cannot keep the same mindset and believe that your marriage is going to be happy. That is one of the necessary components to produce happiness. Happiness is a choice. Growth is a choice. Peace is a choice. Chaos, don't do it.
Yeah.
Nothing great can be birthed out of chaos. Micha, if you had advice towards conflict resolutions, what would you give to our audience, our listening audience?
I think that it's important for people to carefully think before you speak. So in doing that, what works for me is I'll take full advantage of the notes application on my phone and type out everything I want to say. And I
Yes, Micha.
And I let it sit there. And
I
then I'll
love
go
that.
back a few hours, right, after I've done something else and kind of cool down and reread it. And then I'll say, all right, I need to take this out. I need to reword this. This needs to just go away altogether. I need to add this. And then I'll send it so that he can read it, and I'll say, we need to talk about that message that I sent you. I know that's what works for us. Like you said, everyone's relationship is different.
Yes.
For us, that works because I know me and my mouth, and people say, it's your tone. It's not what you're saying, it's your tone. So it's best for me to just send him this little message like, oh, we need to discuss X, Y, Z. And then when we come together, I've already gotten out the emotional stuff. He doesn't know, but I typed it to myself in my notes. And then I got away, did away with that. And then I send him the message like, hey, we need to talk about X, Y, and Z. So I think that it's just important for us not to shoot from the hip, because when you do that, it's dangerous.
Absolutely.
And it's hurtful, and you do damage that sometimes you may not be able to heal from.
Listen,
so that's why I
words
think that
hurt
it's
more than a
important.
fist.
Yeah, so
Words-
that's why I think that it's very important to be careful what you say. And what I've learned about me is
How you
not
say it.
yes, how you say it. That was a very important lesson that I needed to learn in life, but I'm glad that I learned it in my safe space with my husband as opposed to on my job.
Yes.
Or
absolutely.
it's in another situation that the result may not have been the same, but because he loves me enough to tell me the truth about myself, I appreciate that. So,
And again, one thing that I want to stress over and over again is nobody's marriage looks the same. You cannot look at my marriage or Micha's marriage or anybody's marriage and say, baby, this is what I want us to look like. Every us is extremely unique to what you birth. And when you are getting married, you bring a 100% of yourself to the union. And if you are at a 50% capacity, you're not ready to get married. Marriage counseling is key to prepare you for success. I don't ever give advice to anybody that's getting married to leave out the counseling session of your union. It is necessary. It uncovers things that you may not see in the bliss of dating. So marriage counseling is key and vital in the creating of the us. And it's also key a little ways down the road as well. When you're getting to re-know your partner again, that don't sound right, but it's going to work because every last one of y'all know exactly what I'm saying. When you're learning the newness of who your partner is becoming, oftentimes you may need assistance to, okay, he's grown or she's grown to this level, and I don't think that we grew together. You may need a third party to come in to assist you in the growth. While you should not grow apart in growth, if you are being very intentional in your love, you should grow together. The reality of it is life does happen. Do not feel like it is a bad thing to sit down with your partner, your heart, and say, baby, I think that we need somebody to help us navigate through this season of our lives. That's what saves covenant.
I agree.
We had another hot question. What was another question that you received me?
Someone wanted to know, how do you balance your relationship as a priority and also making sure that you're engaging and spending quality time with your friends? Someone shared that was a bit of a challenge for them because absolutely their spouse and their kids are their first priority. That's their number one that they take care of. But they felt as if their friends felt left out or slighted. And I think that maybe some newly married women or men face that challenge because when you were the single person, you kind of could do whatever you want and come and go as you please. And then when you attach yourself to a man or a woman and now you're married and you've started a family, your priorities change, they shift. And so for some people it's hard. So that was another question that they asked of us. How do you create that balance?
Well, they probably should not have asked me because my answer is probably be a little bit more blunt than most people's would be. But my response to that would be, grow up. You see that I am living a life that I prayed for. You see that I am happy with my husband and that my kids bring me peace and my kids give me joy. Find it within your heart to unselfish yourself and appreciate the newness of my life. And don't feel like you're being left out. Find a way to navigate space to be like, okay, maybe once a month we can do something together.
That's what we do.
And you appreciate that time that you're able to spend with your friend. But maturity would say that when you see somebody that you love living the life that they created, a life that they prayed for, I don't think that you should be the selfish friend to say, oh, you don't have time for me now. No, it's not that I don't have time for you now. It's now that I'm living out my my life is manifesting the prayers and the time that I put into it. I don't need for you to come against my happiness. I need you to A, find your own happiness, and B, appreciate the time that we spend together.
Yeah, I think it's important to make sure that you have people in your circle that clap when you win.
Yes.
So for me, unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that because I've never experienced that. Because I've always been, like Terry says, she's been in love since she was in 4th grade.
Yes,
I've
that was
been
so cute.
very protective of my energy since I was in 4th grade.
How about that?
'Cause I had some trauma with some friends in elementary school. And ever since then, I'm like, I make sure that I surround myself with people that understand the way that I love
Yes,
and love me the
that's
way
important.
that I need. So that's important. So what I did do, and it wasn't that anyone, voiced their opinion about, oh, we miss you or we don't see you anymore. It just kind of organically happened. When I got married, my girlfriends, we meet once a month for dinner. We go to dinner at the same place. We get the same meals. It's like Groundhog Day. But it's our therapy.
It's what works.
It's our therapy, and it works for us. And then every person's birthday in our circle, we make sure that we all get together and celebrate that person because they deserve that. And then outside of that, if we do see each other twice a month, that's okay. That's great. But you kind of got to get in where you fit in because life moves fast.
Life moves fast.
Life moves fast. And so if someone gets a promotion, we celebrate that. If someone is getting married or having a baby, we all celebrate that because we are all equally satisfied with the lives that we created because
That's
we
key.
cheer each other on that journey. And I always say, I tease all of my girlfriends and I'll tell them, everybody has a turn up and everybody has a turn down. So there's things that have happened to them, things that have happened to me, and I'll say, I'm just in a mood because I'm in my down space right now. And so they'll say, well, what can I do? What can I do? And that's how you know that you have the right people. Because what you can do is just come over my house and sit on the couch and watch Law and Order. I don't really need anything. I just need to be around energy that kind of fills me up right now until my husband gets home from work.
Yes.
So, that's balance for me.
It's
Yeah.
key to always the questions that we received and the questions that we asked are just keys to what creates a successful union. And again, everybody's union is extremely unique, and you may not face the same things Micha and I have faced or those who sent in their questions and their responses, but you create your own questions within your own union, and it is my heart's desire that you would find a safe place to ask those questions and get those questions answered. As you know, I am the first lady of a church, and for me, my safe place is to go to God to ask the hard questions. And in the peace of our time together, I get answers that no other voice could have given me. So I strongly suggest in prayer that in marriages that prayer is key. It is what builds, it is what keeps, it is what sustains marriages. So that is definitely a necessary component. And one of the things that I mentioned before is, what is your game plan for marriage? We chose the questions that we talked about tonight because those are some things that lead to, they are the highest statistics of divorce, the questions that we received. And most times divorce can be avoided if the proper tools are given to avoid it. So make sure that you have a game plan. What is your union supposed to birth? What is it that you and your husband are to do together at the 5-year mark, at the 10-year mark, at the 7-year mark? What is it that you are supposed to do together? And if you don't know how to begin to ask the question of how do you begin the game plan, simply ask yourself, what can this union birth together? What can the skill set that my husband and I possess, what is it that we can do to make the world a better place? That's what starts an excellent game plan, because every covenant has an assignment attached to it. And Micha, as we are getting closer to our wrap-up hour, time goes so fast.
So fast.
Oh my goodness. One of the things that I believe is very, very key in marriages, and one of the most difficult things to do, is to forgive.
I think that's important.
Very briefly, what advice would you give to the heart of a wife or a husband? Well, we can only speak to wives. What words of wisdom can you give to a wife that's struggling with forgiveness?
I think oftentimes forgiveness comes from a place of disappointment where we have expectations of a person and you feel as if they've let you down, disappointed you, betrayed you. So first, I always say, if you're going to put expectations on someone, you need to put expectations on yourself.
Absolutely.
What is your responsibility in the relationship? Secondly, if they do create an offense, and it's important for you to hold on to the good times, the good memories, who they are inside. Sometimes we look at a person when they offend us and they become that offense.
That's good,
When
Micha.
you need to remember that there's still a human being inside of, under all of that trauma, under all of that hurt, or whatever it is, that mask that they're wearing, there's a person in there that you love because you picked them.
Yes.
So unmask that and look at the person, talk to the person. And the more that you do that, you'll start to grow and you'll see those layers kind of peel off like an onion, I feel.
Yes, that is so good. You have to remember, Micha gave some great advice. Forgiveness is a choice. And you can choose to live in the offense or you can choose to move on. And life happens. And I choose to move on because I am with my life partner.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people say, oh, I'm with my soulmate. No, I'm with my life partner. To me, that has more value, that has more weight. It puts a demand on your will to make choices that will make us be together forever.
I agree.
So marriage is one of the greatest things that could ever, I believe, one of the most powerful relationships on the earth. I believe that marriage is intended to birth something. Make sure that in your loving, you find out what it is that your marriage is created to birth. And do everything in your power, your capacity, and your will to bring that birth into fruition. It's been a great moment.
It has.
I'm
It was so
excited.
fast.
It's so fast. Life flies by. I think our Marriage Matters segment is one of my favorite segments because of how I view marriage. I'm so passionate about it.
I'm very passionate, as you know. And I find that what we're doing here, so many people are messaging us going, it wasn't enough.
I know.
Or you guys should talk about this. This is what you do. You want to come on the show?
Yes.
This is what y'all need to discuss. So I think that it definitely means something, not just to the two of us, but to other folks, because I like the fact that we are offering two different perspectives.
Absolutely.
Like we're on the same page and have the same value and the same mission.
Yes.
But we walk two different paths and then they join.
Yes.
And I think that's what the people love because it's relatable.
It is.
And it's genuine.
And listen, the only story I have to tell is my own.
Yeah.
And I can't sugarcoat the truth because sugarcoating truth does not save. I believe that authenticity saves and truth is what gives answers. And if you always present a perfect life, then many people will fail.
Yeah, well, I say my testimony could be someone else's greatest teacher.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's why I share. I share. I don't share everything.
No.
But I
Everybody
do
can't
feel
handle
that
all your truth.
It's important to be very transparent and speak with integrity when someone asks me something, because if they're courageous enough to ask you the hard question, that means that they're really seeking the answers.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah.
I'll just say this as we're closing out. Thank you so very much for joining myself, Lady Nakia Wright, and Micha Woods on our Marriage Matters segment. It means so very much that you've joined us on the journey. You look forward to sharing with us. If you have a heart for marriage, and you would like to be entered into the possibility of joining us on the panel, please inbox both Micha and I. We're looking for those. If you're an author, if you have a book, if you have something coming up and you want to share your thoughts on marriage, I'm not saying that everyone will be welcome on the platform, but we would like to review your information and give you a platform if it fits. So please share with us. We would love to hear from you. One thing that I would like to say when it comes to marriage is that marriage covers. never expose your spouse. Always cover the one that you love. Always make sure that in the world that they present a more excellent life to the world, and be what you needed in your time of trouble. Make sure that you I forgot to do the drawing. This is what live TV is. We're about to do the drawing. Did we already draw, Sean? This is the name that we draw, and the winner of the Love Chanel inspired buttons is Karna Gibson. So Karna, you don't have to respond. The buttons are yours. If you remember, thank you so very much. This is live TV, y'all. This is live. This is what happens when you're live. Every week we do a drawing, and Lovery is sponsoring our gift this week. Lovery Incorporated. Marcy Diane is the owner. She's one of a Woman's Voice Matters Dream Team members, and she's come out with a Chanel-inspired love buttons, and that was our giveaway this week. So, Karna Gibson, you are our winner of this week's giveaway. Yes! And without further ado, thank you for joining us this week. It's been extremely wonderful. I believe vital information was given out, and I pray that something was said here that makes your life better. Thank you so very much, and we look forward to seeing you next Thursday at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Yes! Thank you, guys.